In this lesson, we're going to be factoring what is known as a difference of squares. And a difference of squares is both pieces are going to have to be perfect squares, and we're going to have a subtraction sign separating them. That's why it's called a difference of squares. So subtraction, perfect squares. And when you have that, it factors into essentially their square roots, addition and a subtraction of their square roots, also known as a conjugate. So let's take a look at a couple. All right, so the directions are going to say factor. And for example, if you have x squared minus 36. So, very first thing is you have to have a subtraction sign. If you don't have a subtraction sign, you're done. But we do have a subtraction sign, and both of these are perfect squares, which means we can factor them. Turns into that. So the reason that it turns out that way is because you're really looking for two numbers that multiply to negative 36 that add to 0. You don't have a middle term. So a positive 6 and a negative 6 add to negative 36, and they also add to 0. So very much a recognition, and once you have it, it turns out to be very straightforward. So we'll do a couple more. So 49x squared minus 25. So very first thing, do we have a subtraction? Yes. Do we have perfect squares? Yes. And so if we're going to factor that, that's going to turn into a 7x plus 5 and a 7x minus 5. All right, and you could distribute this all back through and verify that you lose your middle term. But that's what it factors into. All right. If you have x squared plus 36. So it looks very, very similar to the first one. The difference is you don't have a subtraction sign. You have an addition sign. This is not factorable. So there's nothing you can do. All right, so let's do one more. X to the fourth minus 16. So start off with, we have a subtraction. This is a perfect square. This is a perfect square. So that means we have a difference of squares, and we can factor it. So we have x squared plus 4, x squared minus 4. So we're breaking this up evenly, we're breaking the 16 up evenly, and we have our factors. Now, just because you factor it the first time doesn't mean it's not factored, that we can't factor it further. So we have, again, two situations where we have potentially a difference of squares. This one is very much like number 3, where it's an addition sign, not a subtraction sign. So that one's done, but this is a difference of squares. So this factors into x plus 2, x minus 2. And then this one we don't do anything with, so we'll just bring it down. And those are the factors of x to the fourth minus 16, and that is factored completely. All right, and that is factoring a difference of squares.